This is my commandment, love one another as I have loved you. A man can have no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I shall not call you servants any more, because a servant does not know his master's business. I call you friends, because I have made known to you everything I have learned from my Father. You did not choose me, no, I chose you, and I commissioned you to go out and to bear fruit, fruit that will last. And then the Father will give you anything you ask him in my name. What I command you is to love one another. During a World Youth Day, Pope St. John Paul II declared the founder of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul to be a blessed saint of the Church. It took place on Friday, the 22nd of August, in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris. In declaring him a saint for the Church, Pope St. John Paul said this: "It is too little to help the poor day by day. We must begin from the root of the evil, and through wise reform reduce the causes of people's poverty. Charity must never look behind itself, but before it, because the number of its past good works is always too small, and the present and future miseries it must alleviate are always infinite." And it's true, isn't it? We can be overwhelmed by poverty. The cases are so many. The answers to the questions seem not to be the right answers. And so these words again, I think, stand out. Charity must never look behind itself, continually saying what was done, but before it, ahead, because the number of its past good works is always too small, and the present and future miseries it must alleviate are always infinite. Can you and I learn from the life of Frederic Ozanam? He was born in Milan on the 23rd of April, 1813. At the age of 20, he obtained his bachelor's degree. At 26, in Paris, he received his doctorate in literature with a thesis on the philosophy of the great Italian poet Dante Alighieri. In October 1840, at the age of 27, he won the competitive examination for the chair of foreign literature at the Sorbonne. And this young academic traveled throughout Europe, but especially in Italy, and he wrote works on the origins of European culture, which are still important even today. We see the measure of the intellectual gifts of this young man. At the age of 28, he married Émilie Soulacroix, and they had a daughter. At 35, he was a journalist and had published many articles. But what happened to him was that because of his journalism, he became intensely interested in the social problems of his time and presented ideas up to that time unknown in the Christian environment. In one of his articles, he foresaw and proposed what he called workers' associations, We would call them unions. In many ways, he is the precursor, the John the Baptist, if you like, of the Church's social doctrine. A social doctrine that developed particularly at the end of the 19th century in the insights and writings of Pope Leo XIII, that were then taken up through the work of Pope Pius XI, Pope Pius XII, but especially in the writings of Pope St. John Paul II. On the 15th of September 1853, at the age of 40, he died in Marseille of a serious illness, lived with Christian resignation. He had written these words: "Great men are those who never have the plan of their Christian destiny in advance, but they have let themselves be led by God's hand." Now, what gave a special hallmark to his life? The reason why we're gathered here today, that which makes him remembered by new generations throughout the world, even to this day in our schools through Mini Vinnies, began precisely on his birthday, his 20th birthday. This academic, doctoral student would walk along the roads of Paris to the Sorbonne to his lectures, and he saw the poor, and he could not but answer their needs. It became a stone in his shoe, a niggling at his conscience. He could not pass the poor, and they were poor. But they must do something about it. It changed his life. And so he gathered around him young university students to begin what we now know as the conferences of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. But they were not called that originally. Conferences of charity. How did he define these conferences? He said, a Catholic but lay society, humble but numerous, poor but full of poor to relieve. Above all, in an age in which charitable associations have such a great mission to carry out for the revival of the faith, the support of the Church for a truce from the hatred which divides men is so important. And so the Society of St. Vincent de Paul was founded. Has it changed? Yes. Is the challenge of the Society returned to its beginnings? We live in a world which is filled with corporations, companies. We are ruled by civil companies. That's all very well. We need to live in this real world. But the danger is that we will lose the sense of mission. Because a civil corporation, a civil law, cannot define the work of charity, the work of God. And finally, I would like to pay a special tribute to the members of the conferences of the Society, which are at the heart of the work of charity. And in saying that, I see the present conferences as the heirs of those small meetings that began in this country around a parish priest, a group of men meeting often on the veranda of the presbytery every week, a small group of men with the parish priest, and they would try to work out how to help the poor. And then, in their room or on the veranda, they'd say, we need to have a place to keep a few things to give out. And so a cupboard is established, and some groceries is put in the cupboard, and some blankets, and some clothes. That's how the Society of St. Vincent de Paul was established in this country. In parishes, with a group of believers gathered around the pastoral leader of the community. And it is a group that Frederic Ozanam would feel completely at home with. And so, in honouring him, we give thanks to God for the hidden work of the Society over the years since that moment when a 20-year-old young student could not answer the cry of the poor that he encountered each day as he walked from his lodgings to the academic halls of the Sorbonne.